Hello and welcome to another episode of the Simon and Friends podcast. I'm Simon Short. Joining me this week, it's a special week, ladies and gentlemen. We've got the two essentially de facto co-hosts here of the Simon and Friends podcast. It's friends Ben Parker and Josh Limesand. Ben, welcome in, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I am so excited to be here tonight. This is going to be a fun show, but an intelligent show too. And it's not always easy to package both, but we've done it tonight.
Lordy, we're just
I
Ben setting us up
appreciate
for
that,
failure
Ben.
right here. Yeah. Josh, other than that grand entrance, how you doing, man?
I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right. Yeah, feeling pretty good. I like that the playoff slate is set, and the thing I'll say is for my fantasy playoffs, because that's how I'm going to be even more interested now that my Vikes didn't make it, is that I'm hoping that something triggers in this conversation tonight that leads me to who to pick for my playoff rosters as I go into the daily fantasy part of the season. I obviously the team that wins doesn't necessarily mean the team that's has the best fantasy players, but like one of those where you need to pick the guys that are on the teams that win, that get more games, et cetera, et cetera.
I
So
have a
I'm hoping
few.
that something brilliant comes out of this
All right,
conversation.
all
Well,
right. I think I have a few player specific things that'll help you out. We'll see, but here's what we're doing tonight, everybody. First off, I feel very lucky, so thanks everybody for asking. But I've gotten to podcast with Josh and Ben in the last calendar week for each of them. So Josh was obviously here last week, wrapping up our power ranking series, and Ben, let me go ahead and just do a quick shout out and hit the graphic for everybody. Over on Pro Football Enterprises on Monday night. We recorded an episode of Coaching Carousel updates reacting to Black Monday. So, the news of the four firings that took place on Monday. And we did that with Austin Freed of Tricky Takes. So, you got some box score, you got some Pro Football Enterprise, you got some Tricky Takes happening on that episode. We went through the news of that Monday, reacted, talked in the future a little bit about some coaching matching, some interviews that are already taking place, such as that. So if you're really into the coaching stuff, head over to Pro Football Enterprises. We updated that coaching carousel series over there, and then Box Score Network is going to have updated draft content, including mock draft 1.5. Ben and I also put up an updated mock draft from our 1.0 we did just 2 weeks ago. Now that the top half of the draft order is solidified. So if you wanted an updated kind of mock on, you know what we think of the players if you saw that and what we think the teams need. But if you want to see how it all plays out with the new draft order, head over to the Box Score Network YouTube channel where you will see an updated mock, just a 1.5. I think we did 16 teams the other night. All right. Let's get into what's happening tonight, guys. So we are doing. I'm calling this fourth and goal. It's given the same name for 4 years now, and it looks different every single time. But I think this one is finally going to work out. Josh and I are here previewing the first round of the NFL playoffs, Wild Card Weekend. Ben is here to judge how we do on that. So what are we doing exactly? We're going to be flipping a coin. Ben has a coin for us to flip. We will take turns calling for each game which team we want to defend. And then we are presenting a stat to Ben to try and sway him on who we think is going to win the game. Now, Josh and I, we're not revealing who we actually think will win. We are presenting our statistic as best we can to try and sway Ben to side with us. Ben is not coming in with any preconceived notions for about what we're going to try and say, but he obviously has his own thoughts on who he thinks will win. So some of these arguments might be very easy. It might be ones that he just agrees with and he's going to align with anyways. It might be ones where we really have to try and convince him the other way. So we'll see what happens. We're going to go through all 6 games from Wild Card Weekend, and yeah, I mean, fourth and goal. Essentially, whoever someone's trying to get to at least 4 wins here, right? Four picks with Ben to get the lead here, because right, 4, 6, yeah, that makes sense.
yeah.
See, I tied it all in together.
Yeah.
I can't. When I said the title this time and went through it, I was like, wait, is four even like a majority? Like, how is that going to work? And okay, we're good. 4 to 6. All right, fellas. The first game we are going to talk about. We're going to start with the Saturday afternoon game, Panthers versus Rams. It's happening Saturday at 4:30 in Carolina, wherever the Panthers are. And the Rams are favored by 10 in this one. So Ben, you got your coin ready?
Got it
Josh, you
ready?
got your call ready? You're getting the first call of the night.
Yes, I got it.
All
All
right.
right, here it goes.
Heads.
Heads it is.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I
Tough one.
really wanted to pick the Rams here because it's
They're
the
favored by
hardest
10.
game. It's
That'll
the hardest game to call card weekend, and so I think I have the most convincing argument. I think so. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I want to pick the Rams because if we think of our power rankings, I've been on the Rams for like the whole season, so this is my team. And
I'm with
so
the
I'm not going to back
Dolphins.
down from that pick. I still think top to bottom, both sides of the ball. I think they have everything you need to be successful. They have the Matthew Stafford Puka Nacua connection. Blake Corum came back. They have a nice 1-2 punch at running back. Alaric Jackson came back in week 18 and played. And so, that was the source of some of their woes in the week 17 loss to Atlanta. That was weird. And then, the Seattle game was weird. So I know I've made a lot of excuses for the Rams, but I just think on both sides of the ball, they're too good to be stopped, especially this week in the wild card round, and I think the football gods you know, have finally shined down against the Rams as well because we should be sitting Matthew Stafford in the fourth quarter of this game to make sure he doesn't get injured for the divisional round. Um, but honestly, I think their defense is just something that is always caught my eye this year. My stat for you is that Emmanuel Forbes is tied for third with 18 passes defensed, right? He's a new arrival this year. We knew about Jared Verse bursting on the scene last year. And I just like what I see from Cam Curl, Cam Kinchins, Emmanuel Forbes. I think their secondary is better than I thought it would be with some of those names because way back when Emmanuel Forbes came out in the draft, I thought he was drafted way too high in the first round, and he goes to Washington. It doesn't work out, and so I was like, okay, here's a draft bust. But he has really come on, and I think um, when you have a defense that's good at all three levels like that, and Emmanuel Forbes is just really consistent with that with breaking up pass. I think they have something going there. And I'm not going to bet against the guy with like Stafford who's got that experience. They almost knocked off the Eagles last year. Like this team's ready to go. They're battle tested. They've won a Super Bowl already and with this kind of core with this coaching staff. So um, I like that their defense feels more mature as well. Last year they were good. This year I think they're even better. And so I think they run the ball well. I know they lost to Carolina in the regular season, and so I'm anxious to see how Simon says that Carolina's going to somehow do that again. But I I just feel like the Rams are going to be too hard to stop, even though Carolina's defense is playing well, and Bryce Young is just too inconsistent to score on this Rams defense. And so I really feel like while there are no sure things in the playoffs, and once you get there, anything can happen. I see the Rams taking this one. I think 10 points is crazy for a for a spread when they're on the road, but it also makes sense. Like I'm not really worried about that either. So, factoring in Devontae Adams in the red zone, he's got like a million red zone targets, and I always think back to that game where Stafford threw for under 200 yards, but ultimately 4 touchdowns. Like he just exactly what needs to be done when it needs to be done, and then couple that with the defense. So I feel really good about my Rams right now getting at least to the divisional round. So
Your Honor, I would just like to point out that the contestant here named a lot of stats. So let's make sure we're only
oh, sorry.
using the 18 pads. No, it's fine. Honestly, I was smirking for a while because I thought your stat was gonna be they've been number one on our power rankings for the last like 3 months, and I was like,
Well,
man,
yeah.
Josh is just like pushing all the chips in. Like, here's the best stat I can come up with. We have them number one. No, Emmanuel Forbes, that's also a great pull by you. All right, here's mine. So I thought about doing something funny here, like that Carolina beat the Rams in week 13. That's a pretty good stat. And then I looked for, I think, 20 minutes, guys, on StatHead about like punting statistics and like how they're doing from a punting perspective. I really wanted special teams to be a factor. It's not. But here is something. So here's my case for the Panthers. The Panthers are ninth in the NFL in run success rate on offense this season. 43.4% of the time, they are getting the yardage they need on any given play via the run game. The Rams, however, are 31st in run stuff rate this year, meaning only one team in the NFL is allowing no gain or negative runs at a lower rate than LA. So if the Panthers can rely on their run game to keep the score and time close by just chugging along, trying to keep the Rams on the sideline, all those weapons that Josh talked about, and they keep the ball away from Manuel Forbes, man, you can't throw to that guy.
You
So
can't.
if
Forbes
you can
Island.
run the
Forbes
ball,
Island.
if you can run the ball and 43% of the time you're getting 5 yards on first down or 3 yards on second down or 2 yards on third down, you can keep them on the sideline, keep the ball out of Bryce Young's hand, and maybe you can be in it at the end for a key special teams player or something like that to pull it out. That was all I got on Carolina. There's not.
Can I just say something? Sorry, Ben,
Yes.
if you were going to try to jump in there, but I
I'm
literally
here,
wrote this
Butters.
down. Simon, we have been doing this way too long. On my Panthers write-up, it says, I was hoping to find a quote diamond in the rough stat regarding the Panthers special teams. Like I was literally going the same vein, like maybe they're sneaky good at blocked kicks and return yardage, and
I,
they're
I
just
was
gonna swing
thinking
the
that when
game
they
in a
had
really subtle way.
the former Rams punter, actually, Hecker, right? Remember when they got Hecker for that year and they were like the
Yeah,
best punt unit in the NFL and then he retired? And now they have Sam Martin, who is the Bills punter, and it's just fine. It's not great.
right.
I really wanted to find something. Uh, all right, Ben. Without further ado, give us our if you want to give us any feedback on our pitches, so we can maybe take some notes for future matchups. But also, who are you picking in this game? Who gets the point?
I'll eliminate the suspense right off for this one. I'll still pick the Rams to win this game. So, that's
Draft.
I just can't get away from
Come
that
on.
as everybody expects here. I will say, because I did love a couple of the notes here, the Emmanuel Forbes thing is fascinating. Not that I think that's a huge factor in this game, but just, you go back to draft time for him, one of his big things was ball hawking, right? And everybody was like, well, can he actually cover? That might still be somewhat of a question, but the ball hawking is there. He's in an offense, a defense that allows for it, so it's a great fit for him. It really, it's something athletic wise that's producing there for the Rams. So I love that. Hope builds a lot of empires. So if you're Carolina and you want to try to have a chance in this game, not only the fact that you already beat the Rams, that is a sliver of hope there on the running game side of things. That hey, if we can, I don't even like the term slow the game down. If we can produce yards on the ground that allow us to score some points and then worry the Rams some, that does tilt the game. So the fact that the Rams struggle a little bit with that, and the fact that the Panthers obviously have not one but two guys that can run the football, that's something. The fact that this is Carolina too, I mean, the Panthers have a chance here. There's no question about it. This is not the biggest upset we've ever seen, but there's just no way I'm going to pick against the Rams here. Good details though on both sides.
All right,
Nice.
our next game we're going to Saturday. Yeah, congrats, Josh. Our next game we're going to Saturday night. This is the Josh Bowl right here. Bears versus Packers in Chicago. The Packers, as of now, are still favored by 1.5 on the spread at least. But money line is looking even at this point. But Packers are actually favored as the 7 seed against Chicago on the road on Saturday night. Ben, I am going to call it this time. You ready with the coin?
Here it comes.
Or
I've got it.
heads?
It is tails, man. Simon,
I knew that was gonna happen. I knew that was gonna
you were having
happen.
the
All
worst
right.
luck so far.
So
Do I get
almost
to
like
pick again?
50-50. You get to pick
Yes.
again.
Oh
You get to pick
yeah.
again.
Um,
No,
well,
this is better. This is better. Which team do you want to sit up here and talk about diatribe for the next minute or two and tell us why they're great? Which of these
oh well,
NFC North teams?
I'm gonna easily pick the Bears because my
There's
my
just gonna be
st
something negative about the Packers, isn't it?
my no my stat for the Packers, it was a stretch. It wasn't really. It was hard to. I ended up picking one of my favorite players kind of deal. So I'll fill
Mm.
you in after you do your Packers spiel. But I am much more comfortable talking about the Bears. My brother-in-law is a big Bears fan, so I'd like to see him have some enjoyment. He's had to watch the double doink among other things when the Bears got to the playoffs. So he'll be nervous the whole time as he should because of history knows if they're putting the Packers at favorites right now, like history knows what the Bears do in the playoffs. So it's not looking good.
Yeah.
But I'm becoming more of a believer in Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson. I think that we talked on the power rankings that Caleb Williams is used to having to put up points. Like he knows that this is how it goes. The Bears have a bend don't break defense, and so he knows that teams are going to be able to put up yardage and scoring, but their defense also is opportunistic. So I have two stats. I don't know if that's cheating, but
Oh,
yeah,
jeez.
you can't talk about the Bears this year without mentioning that they've gone coast to coast, post to post, beginning to end with leading the turnover differential, plus
Hmm.
22 on the year. It's not just a flash in the pan, it's a trend. So even though their defense gives up a lot of yards, that means they're on the field more before they can make some mistakes. And Love is Jordan Love is not someone who shies away from throwing some interceptions or pull the ball too long, getting sacked and getting a strip sack. So that's the stat I think you have to mention. My stat though is that they're a top five rushing team, and I have said this for a couple of years. Like the teams that go far in the playoffs, when things tighten up, when you don't always get the PI calls that you want, and you get a little bit more conservative because you don't want to throw away the game. Can you run the football? Last week, notwithstanding, but they're top three in yards per attempt on the ground. They're top three in yards per game on the ground. And when you have a running game, that can solve a lot of problems. It can help your defense, help get your offense going. And I think that Ben Johnson's creative enough to keep that going, even against the Packers, who have a really good defense. I think that I think that that's just a really good recipe for success deep into the playoffs. I had something else I was going to say. No, I'm completely blanking. Oh, I like that they lost last week. I think that was the other thing I was going to say. Like they got beat at home by a Lions team that had been eliminated, and then but instead of riding this overconfidence wave into the playoffs, where they're an inexperienced team when it comes to being in the playoffs with a new first time head coach, like they hopefully were like, okay, yeah. I don't know if they played poorly on purpose, if they overlooked the Lions because they were already in the playoffs, everything was locked in. I don't know what the mentality was, but regardless, they're definitely not going to be victim to the overconfidence because they have to get up for this game. And they, especially now that they're not even favorites at home, it's a higher seed. Like they have to be, mentally, I feel like they're going to be a little bit more locked in than they would have if they just blew the Lions out and like started to really feel good about themselves because they were on a nice win streak. So, but really, it's just a top five rushing team. I think that's a way you can overcome a defense that gives up a lot.
Now I'm looking, I'm trying to remember what did they do last week before they lost that game? I paid attention to zero scores essentially
BK
from
team
last
was,
week's
yeah.
games. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just such a mess. Um, did everybody play? What did they do? How'd that happen?
Their
Caleb was
starters
out
did
there,
play.
20 of 33, two touchdowns, one. Okay, interesting. All right, that's
Yeah.
cool. No, I do like that one. Um, I just again chuckled because here's the stat that I like. They lost, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. So I'm defending Green Bay here. Here's my stat for Green Bay. The Packers are one of the best teams in the NFL on third down this season. They are second in EPA per play on and second in third down conversion percentage on the year. So if they can sustain long drives and keep the Bears run game, I wrote that down, keep the Bears run game off the field, they can outscore Chicago because you don't want the Bears to be able to get that lead and then rely on the run game to milk the clock. You don't want them to sustain their own long drives because it's an even or plus game script for Chicago and be able to just run the ball. Hey, if Green Bay can possess the ball and get 5 first downs on the opening drive and they're up 7-0, and let's say they can stop Chicago or hold them to a field goal on that first drive, and then they could do it again in the second. Now, if you can get up 2 scores in the first quarter, or even better, early in the second quarter, if you can take Chicago out of that run game script and they start speeding up, meanwhile you can keep converting on third down, that would be the key to success for Green Bay. So if Green Bay can continue to be that really good third down team against that Bears team that, like Josh said, will give up yardage, right? And the Packers are one of the best teams. They're a top five team in not turning the ball over. So if Green Bay can continue to just move the chains in this one, I think they have a really, really good shot to win the game. Ben, how are you feeling? And which way are you going?
Yeah, this one was tough before y'all started talking, and honestly, it got tougher after y'all got done talking, to be honest. I was already leaning Bears. It just doesn't feel like the Packers have the momentum or the crispness at this point. And even though the Bears, I think what, have lost 3 out of 5, 3 out of 6, something like that. I forget exactly what that number is. It still feels like on the whole they've got things pretty efficient. They know what they want to do. They know who they are and how it's working. It's been pretty clean this year. I feel like. So I was leaning Bears. I really like both of y'all's numbers there, but nothing swayed me. I think that's probably what I was looking for. I was looking for something to pull me off the Bears and onto the Packers. It being in Chicago, I would have given the Bears a third chance even while Parsons was still there. And with Parsons out, it just tilts everything back to a good Packers team, not a great one. Plus, Chicago is going to be rocking. I mean, they are going to be rocking that stadium. They actually think they have a chance, and they do. So I'm going to stick with the Bears here. It is the slimmest of margins, both before and after you guys got done talking there. So that's where I'm at.
All right, Josh is halfway to victory here.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll have to be the
Um,
Lions and play spoiler at the end.
you want to hear my ridiculous Green Bay defense?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll summarize this so I don't ramble for too long. But Matthew Golden was my favorite receiver coming out
Oh,
of last
buddy.
year's draft.
Uh-huh.
He's only played in like 52% of snaps overall throughout the sort of
Uh-huh.
the course of the season. So I was going to predict he's been laying in wait. Like LaFleur is going to get Matthew Golden involved in this bend don't break. It was bad. So I was also
Yeah,
going to say some nice things about Jeff Halfley, but
you had
that's neither
nothing for
here nor
Green
there.
Bay. While we're doing this, you want to hear my argument for the Rams that I had ready,
Yeah.
locked and ready to go? The Rams have 63 touchdowns this season. The Panthers have 33.
Oh boy.
That was everything I wrote down.
That's
That
all you
was it.
need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you score more, you're gonna win.
Almost like, oh, you could almost say nearly twice as many touchdowns, which is a
Jeez,
lot.
that is
Um,
quite the spread.
all right,
Simon,
let's
you need
move
to win
on
some
here.
coin tosses, man. This
Yeah, you
that
really
I
this
know.
is
do.
the
Well,
key here,
here we
okay?
go. I need whammies on Josh's coin toss call right here because Josh still gets to pick another one.
Oh, I get
All
to
right, so we're
call.
moving. You do. We're moving to Sunday, 1 p.m. game, Jaguars versus Bills in Jacksonville. And the Bills are favored by 1.5, another road favorite at this point. Um, Ben, you ready with the coin? Josh, you ready with the
I'm
call?
ready. And I'm
Yep.
gonna say real quick here before I flip it. This one literally is a coin toss game for me right now because I favor the Bills all season.
Okay.
And yet it's Jacksonville with the home game, and it's Jacksonville who looks like they got their act together. So I'm totally torn on this one. Okay.
Ben, Ben's in the
Fair
stage. Here we
enough.
go. All the pressure's on.
Here we
Heads.
go. I got it. It's another heads.
I
I
actually
can't
wanted to
believe
lose.
this.
I wanted to lose
I
this
know.
one.
No, I feel really good about either one. So let's do this. What do you got,
Oh,
Josh? Don't
oh
mess
boy.
up. Don't pick the wrong one.
Um, I'm gonna mess up and pick the wrong one. I'm gonna go. I'll go with the Jags. I'll go with the Jags.
Okay.
I, 'Cause my heart wants the Jags, even though I would love to see Josh Allen get a Super Bowl in his career. I'm not like anti Josh Allen, but um, I felt at the beginning of the season I was one of the last defenders of Trevor Lawrence, and so it's really fun to see their offense clicking. And I really think they have something going there with Liam Cohen, so it's been fun to watch. Jacoby Myers has been a really nice addition in Parker Washington because my guy Brian Thomas hasn't really been doing much. But my stat for them is um, the fact that the Bills are better against the pass than they are against the run. But ETN and the Jags have been running at a 5.1 yards per carry clip, and so going back to my running game thought process. I think if they can keep their running game going, I think they're gonna be in good shape. Um, I feel like the low-hanging fruit here would have been to pick Josh Allen, but I'll let Simon talk about Josh Allen. But I think that the Jags have the running game to sustain drives. They have the offense clicking, and on defense, they're the second best in turnover differential. The Bears are first, the Jags are second. I think it's seven plus 17, if I'm not mistaken. I could pull it up again, but no, sorry, they're third, plus 12. I was a little bit off. At some point, they were plus 17, so maybe it's not the best argument. I'm really flubbing this one up, aren't I? But I want the Jags to win. That's enough, right?
That's enough.
But no, their offense is really humming, and their defense
And
is
you need the pocket.
opportunistic. And I think that while Josh Allen has been good recently in the playoffs with turnovers, I think the Jags will be able to get one or two, and especially at home. I think if it was in Buffalo, it'd be really hard to pick the Jags, but I think being on their home field is going to be a big deal for them. So,
All right, Ben. Josh is here to tell you a story of the Jaguars running at a good clip. He's here to tell you that the Jaguars can run on this Buffalo Bills defense. Well, I'm here to tell you that they better be able to because it's the only thing wrong with this Buffalo Bills team. And so badly, in fact, that they are 30th in EPA allowed on the ground and 31st in defensive DVOA against the run. And yet their team is so good that they're here in the playoffs with 11 wins and they have the most electric offense and the most electric run game themselves in the NFL. And Josh will again tell you that, hey, but Jacksonville, they've been running the ball better lately. Okay, that's nice. But they finished 20th in DVOA on the ground and 19th in EPA. So at best, this is a mediocre run game. You're going to show up to a bazooka fight with a mediocre run game and think that's going to help you when that's the only weakness. The Bills are 12th in defensive DVOA against the pass. They are second in rush offense DVOA, and they're, I think, 11th passing the ball. And even if you want to say 11th, well, that's not as efficient as it's been in the past. It's still the ball in Josh Allen's hands.
yeah.
So in 3 out of 4 phases for the Buffalo Bills, They are an elite unit. The one thing you could take advantage of is the run game. And this Travis Etienne and this Jags team at 19th in EPA and 20th in DVOA going to be enough to overtake the Buffalo Bills? I don't think so. I don't think so, Ben. All right. Where are you going, Ben?
This is excuse me, this is another tight one. I'm going to go ahead and pick the Bills here. It's very tight. Part of that is the
That's
Josh
a pity
Allen
pick by
factor.
Ben.
That really is a big thing, right? And I'm not huge on experience. I'm a big believer in talent and everybody coming together at the right time. I'm a whole lot big believer in that. I did like the 3 out of 4 phases thing that you mentioned, Simon. That was very good. The Josh Allen thing. And Josh, I really liked your argument. What I was hoping I might hear was that Trevor Lawrence has finally arrived and he's ready to gunsling with Josh Allen.
Mhm.
And while he is better, and I do like him, I'm just not sure that he's any given Sunday, right? But I'm just not sure that you would expect him to be in there gunslinging with Josh Allen. And, Jacksonville is a fine place to play, but it's not the intimidating factor. It's not the cold factor. So I don't feel like Buffalo's too worried about heading down here to Jacksonville. So just the more I think about it, it is tight, but I think I'll pick Buffalo here. That's the team I've been kind of riding all year, and they've not been living up to it.
Right.
Obviously, that's why they're what, the 6 or 7 seed here. But I still am gonna go with Buffalo here. So
It was really unfortunate for me that Josh's stat was the one thing that I was worried about. I was like, he's telling Ben that the run game is gonna work. It might work. This sucks. This is a real bummer for me. Um, Let me give you my stat on Jacksonville real quick. We're doing great on time, so this might be the theme of the show.
Yeah.
We might get to after the points are awarded. This was a
Yeah.
fun one for Jacksonville. Over the final 2 months of the season, no team has allowed fewer points or scored more points than the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Wow.
So for every team's final 8 games this year, Jacksonville leads all 32 in points scored with 269 and points
yeah,
allowed with 116.
yeah,
That's nuts, man.
That is
And
nuts.
listen, I I think they had like I think they had a Raiders game. They might have had both Titans games in there. But like the Broncos game was in there and I think the Texans game was in there. So like there's a few real games in there. And Josh and I talked
Yeah.
about in power rankings like they put up what was it? 29 on Houston and
Mhm.
36 on Denver. Like those
Yeah.
defenses, top 5 defense in their draft.
Yeah.
Jacksonville's scary right now, man.
They're
But
definitely,
the
I think
defense
we're,
is going to.
I think even me trying to defend them, I had a little bit of bias. Like it's Jacksonville, though, right? Like they don't have the
yeah,
name recognition. I like what Ben said about, you know, experience, you know, be damned. It's about like, who comes together at the right moment, who catches that lightning in a bottle, who's flowing at the right spot. So I think that's a good way to think of it. So I don't mind losing to the Bills. I had a hard time picking which team to defend there. So
yeah. That was tight.
All right, let's go to Sunday afternoon back over to the NFC. We have the Eagles versus the 49ers Sunday 4:30 in Philadelphia. The Eagles are favored by 4.5. Ben, you ready with the coin? This one's going to be my call in the air.
I am, and I'll give a quick caveat here. I won't tell you which team. I'm leaning against one team, and I'm hoping that the thing that I'm concerned about with that team gets mentioned or answered or something, and we'll see if that gets done or not. All right, here comes the coin flip.
All right,
I've
tails,
got it. Here it is. What'd you say, Simon?
tails.
It is tails. All right, there it is.
Oh, let's go. All right, now I have to play some gamesmanship here. Which stat do I like better, but which team do I actually believe in? Let's see. All right. Here we go. I'm going to defend the and present a stat for the San Francisco 49ers.
oh, okay.
Okay.
All right, here we go. Brock Purdy this season is second in EPA per dropback in the NFL this year when blitzed. Or when not blitzed. See, I'm already flubbing myself. When against no blitz. So when nobody is blitzing Brock Purdy, he's second in the NFL in EPA per dropback. Right there below Drake May, above Patrick Mahomes, Matt Stafford, Josh Allen. Pick any quarterback that had a great season. The Eagles blitz at the lowest rate in the league at 18% of the time. Right.
Yep.
So think about that Vic Fangio defense, right? That disguising what's happening in the back half and letting everybody sit back and just rushing with those defensive linemen. It's going to be a rock and a hard place in this one, the way these two teams play, because it's going to be like a perfect clashing of styles. But if Philly is going to sit back and let Purdy see the field, I don't care the talent level of the Eagles defensive line versus the 49ers offensive line. The Eagles haven't been they've been good in their pressure and sack production this season, but not overwhelming. Not like it was like what 2 years ago when they were just absolute monsters. Um, if they're gonna let Purdy sit back there and have 3.5 seconds to not only see the field but let Shanahan's play concepts develop, I think Purdy's going to be able to move the ball as much as he wants. And I think the 49ers are just going to be able to outpace what the Eagles are going to be able to match on offense, right? Because the Eagles are going to try to pull the Niners down to where they're at. But if they're not going to blitz and get after Purdy, then it's not going to matter. So I've got San Francisco in this one.
The Niners. Their offense is fierce, but their defense can't stop anybody, Simon. Their defense can't do anything. And for all the times I've ragged on Jalen Hurts, the efficient passer, they're 14th with 7 yards per attempt through the air, which isn't exciting. It's not an exciting stat, but they are serviceable. They throw the ball a little bit better than I think I've given them credit for, which is important because they're not running as well as they have in the past. And so for the Eagles, I think their offense isn't necessarily as efficient as it's been in the past couple of years, and definitely not as it was last year when they rode Saquon Barkley to a Super Bowl title. But I think that uh, I think that Jalen Hurts is playing a little bit better than I've given credit for in the past. And I don't have a stat for this necessarily, but I have a name for you, and that is Jalen Carter. And Jalen Carter can disrupt everything. And I think that he's going to be the X factor to kind of help blow up this offense. I know that your pass rush, your blitzing and stuff, those were compelling stats, but I don't think there's a stat that can handle Jalen Carter, and he's going to be plenty far away from Trent Williams and other people. So Shanahan's good enough to scheme around it a lot of times, but I think Jalen Carter is just that good and that much of a factor. So I my stat isn't really that compelling, I don't think, but I do like that. I mean I
You
it was
got
hard
to
because
save that kind of talk for after Ben picks. You
I
can't
know,
you
I know.
can't.
I'm sorry. I'm not sending the right message here, but I'm just like
Also, the Jake Brendel and Dominic Pooney slander on this podcast right now. My God, no,
that's right.
it's
That's
fine.
right.
Jalen Carter's gonna rip them a new
No,
one.
I'm sorry. I'm letting it leak through, but I'm a little bit down on the Eagles right now. And I wrote for the Niners like if this were just an offensive game, it'd be such an easy pick because they're lighting it up right now. But you know, that's poor gamesmanship on my part. But you can't stat your way around Jalen Carter, Simon. You can't do it.
Yeah, your way around.
He is stat
You,
proof.
are you my dad? Jesus.
Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, Zach Bond. You think that your offense can do anything against those guys?
Yes.
Okay.
I just told you it does. Anyways, Ben, make us. What do you think here? Did we
Ben,
hit
use your own Eagles argument.
concerns?
Don't use mine.
Ben, defend the Super Bowl champions because Josh can't do it apparently.
Yeah.
This is honestly a tough game for me. I'm a little bit surprised it's a 4.5 point spread. I thought it would be tighter than that, honestly. But obviously Vegas,
If the
they're gonna
49ers don't put up 3 points to Seattle last week, it's probably a lot different.
that's a good point. Yeah.
It's probably
So
a lot based on that.
here we go. I'll save the answer for the end. Okay. So let me rattle off some quick things here. I've been down on the Eagles all year. I wasn't heading into the year, but boy, it just looked like they were couldn't find their way out of a paper bag for the most part, and yet still
Mhm.
putting together some wins, which I respected. But it really feels like over the past, I don't know, 5, 6 weeks, they've started putting a lot of that back together again, and kind of found their way a little bit. I'm still not convinced that the defense. I'm not a fan of their defense compared to last year's defense or compared to this year's Seattle or Houston defense, which I think those two are ripping it up, and I just don't think Philadelphia's touching either of those two right now. So, and then the Eagles offense, which obviously the three of us have never been huge on Hurts as a passer because you can't be. This year it's been kind of worse, for
Mhm.
a large part of the season. So those are my, I am a little down on the Eagles here. My concern was this 49ers defense, though, which Josh did mention, and Simon really didn't. That is my big number one concern, and I was kind of leaning Eagles. But when Simon talked about, and I'm going to pick the 49ers here, when Simon talked about the Eagles sitting in zone, which they love to do, and yes, that front four can create all kinds of havoc and pressure. That's what they're designed. That's the design, right? The Eagles design. Front four, havoc, pressure, back seven, zone, smart, limit. but the 49ers know how to handle that. I thought that was a good point by Simon. Brock Purdy, who I still don't think is the greatest passer in the world, limited passer in some ways, is a technician. You give him the time, he'll find the XO, he'll find the 1-0, right? That Kyle Shanahan has taught him to do. And I do think that works against Philadelphia. And, I think I'm going to pick that here. It's a tight game, but, I don't remember which year. The 49ers have been to Philadelphia before and haven't looked bad doing it, I'm not even sure they had Brock Purdy one of those years, but they've been there before in the weather. I feel like they can handle this. It's a tight game. Give me the 49ers. I thought the arguments were good on both sides. So give me the 49ers.
Yeah, I tried to look for something cute about the 49ers defense, like why it's sneaky could hang, and there was
Yeah.
nothing. It's just awful.
Yeah, and I tell you, the Eagles are gettable. The 49ers are a team that can do it. And I'm not convinced this Eagles offense can push around this 49ers defense, which is lousy. So
Mhm.
I don't expect a high scoring game here necessarily, but if it is, then I think advantage 49ers probably.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, I agree. All right, let's move into Sunday night football. We have the Patriots versus the Chargers in the 2-7 matchup of the AFC. In this game is in New England Sunday night. Patriots are favored by 3.5. Josh, this is going to be your call on the coin. Ben, are you ready with the coin?
yeah, let me get my caveat. I'm heavily leaning one team. I won't say which, so I'll be looking for somebody to come up with something that will tilt the scales, which I've got pretty heavily leaned one direction, okay?
Well, I
Pretty
already used
important coin toss,
I
yeah.
already used my good Jalen Carter argument. I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Sorry. I've got the
Tails,
coin flipped. Who's
tails.
calling it? It is heads.
Ah,
So,
Ooh, let's go. All right, this is once again going to be games. I actually really like my Charger stat, but I'll save that to make fun of Josh later. I'm going to go with the New England Patriots,
okay.
and this one's pretty simple. Drake May's dropback success rate this season is 59.6%. That's the highest number since FTN, previously Football Outsiders, has been tracking the stat back to 2019. So think about the Lamar MVP seasons. Think about some Mahomes MVP and Rodgers MVP like seasons. Think about Burrow in 2021, Josh Allen the last couple of seasons. Drake May, more than any of those guys and anybody else you can think of, Dak, Brock Purdy in 2023, nearly 60% of the time when he drops back with the ball in his hands, the Patriots are getting, at minimum, the correct yardage they needed on their down. At minimum. That doesn't even add in the factors of the explosive plays that they can make, the explosive run plays that he can make with his legs. Nearly 60% of the time, he's getting a successful play when he drops back with the ball in his hands. And I just don't know if the Chargers are going to be able to stop that. That's it. That's my time.
fair enough. Yeah, the Patriots offense is definitely scary. I actually really like my Patriots stat, but I'm gonna save that for post debate discussion. I also like my Chargers stat. I have two of them to help the Chargers. The first one is that while Justin Herbert is 30th in time to throw per drop back. It's not good. He gets pressured too much. We know they have offensive line issues. They can't keep a left tackle healthy to save their lives. But what they aren't facing this week is the Texans front four, right? The Patriots do not get after the quarterback as well as the Texans. And if they can't get to Herbert, Herbert is going to do whatever he wants. I don't care how good their defense is. Herbert is playing at an MVP level this year. He is hard to sack even when he is getting pressured. He's already played through a broken hand on even though it's non-throwing hand. And so I think that he's been there enough. The narrative's starting to go that you can't win a playoff game, and I think he's ready to steal one out in Foxborough. My other stat is that the Patriots, while they had 14 wins, and that's impressive, they have only beaten two teams with a winning record this year. They beat I believe it's the Steelers and the Bills when they beat the Bills the one time. So um, while they look really efficient, look really great, Drake May is going to be a generational talent. They haven't come up against this team as battle tested as the Chargers. And so with the Chargers really solid defense and Herbert, who's going to have more time to throw than he's used to, than he definitely had a couple weeks ago at the Texans. I think he's gonna cut him up a little bit, and I think that the Chargers are gonna steal this one.
All right. Excellent work. The Patriots were the team I was heavily leaning for. I don't think it's any surprise here. Um, I feel like the Chargers have a chance here, and I actually really like that stat Josh you put out, even though it's a simple one about the Patriots only beating two winning teams. I mean, boy, you would think with that many wins, 14, I didn't realize that they would have
Yep.
more wins against winning teams. It's just the way the schedule worked out. But that I do really like that stat. But I'm still going to pick the Patriots here. And Josh, I think you kind of even mentioned it. My biggest problem with the Chargers, who I picked to have a pretty good year, has been the offensive line that they can't keep healthy. And man, if they could just have the guys that thought they were going to have, I think they might be the one sitting here with 14 wins,
Yep.
and they might be the one pushing people around. But they don't have those guys, and I'm not sure the Patriots can totally take advantage of that with their defense. But I'm not sure it's going to matter with this Patriots offense and with Patriots home field advantage. So ultimately, I'm going to pick the Patriots here.
I would just like it stated for the record that the Patriots lost to the Steelers um, in week three.
Oh, did they?
Um, yes, they did. So I just wanna strike that from
Well,
the record. That's gonna.
who are their two wins then?
I don't know, man. I don't think it happened. I think you're lying. I think I think it was just the one.
It
Let's run
might be
through this.
just the one.
Miami, Carolina, Buffalo. It's Buffalo. New Orleans, Tennessee, Cleveland, Atlanta, Tampa, New York, Cincy, New York
It's
Giants,
just one, yeah.
Baltimore, Miami.
Wow.
So just want
Only
to correct
one
that.
out of
Only
14
one.
wins, really.
Listen, man, I almost wrote point Steelers.
Hey, that strengthens my argument, so I don't care that I
It
got the
I know
one.
does.
I didn't say it until Ben picked.
Well, I didn't want to say it till Ben picked either, but I think Travion Henderson is he's such a like a home run waiting to happen. He was tied for fourth with 40 plus yard runs this year, and he was 24th in attempts. Like he didn't always have the carries. He was hurt a little bit. Like that offensive firepower. We think of Drake May and being able to distribute the ball in the passing attack, but I think that's another element there that it is going to be hard for the Chargers to stop the Patriots. So
My stat for the Chargers that I really liked was when the Chargers get to 200 passing yards for the game this season, they are 8-2. And their two losses in those 10 games came against a red hot Colts team in week 7 that was just a shootout. And then again, a red hot Texans team in week 17. And while the Patriots are ninth in the NFL this season in passing yards allowed at 193.5, in the months of November and December, so the second half of the season, the number is actually up to 258 yards per game. Because that early half of the season, I think the Titans game was in there, a Panthers game was in there, like some really, really good outings for them. So New England can be thrown on, and if you're just gonna give Herbert the keys and say let it rip against like Josh was saying, like not an elite pass rush, um, I do think this could be a fun game with some fun Herbert moments. But I think New England is gonna have too much to for the Chargers to handle for sure.
Yeah, and I felt like I do like the line here. I felt like all the things you guys have been talking about is what's going to keep this game close. I just didn't see anything that's actually going to tip the scales over against the Patriots here.
All right, so I'm up 3-2 now. Obviously, we could end in a tie here, so we need to start in the back of our minds preparing for
one
if
thing.
Josh pulls this out. But I'm not going to let that happen here. With the, of course, it's my stupid team. God damn. Um, we made fun of the Panthers in the first matchup, Josh, and then I had the whole clip that actually went out on socials about why I wouldn't defend Pittsburgh over Carolina. But who knows? Maybe I'm going to have to do that here tonight.
Might have to.
Um, all right. I
Your
who
turn
made
to
the last
call.
call? Is it my turn?
I
My
I
turn?
made the call, but I lost, so it's your turn to call.
Oh no, wait. Oh yeah. Okay. All
No,
right. Ben, you ready with the coin?
no, Simon's won two coin tosses in a row, right?
I'm on fire, baby. I'm on
Yeah,
fire.
yeah,
All right. This is gonna be so funny. All right. You ready, Ben? All
yeah.
right.
Here we go. Here's the coin flip. I'm flipping it right now,
Heads.
and I've got it. It is tails.
Mm.
I won.
It won, Josh.
What would be the better way to do this? To argue for the Texans win the argument and see Simon lose his team, or to make Simon argue against his team and then have me predict the Steelers win? That still gives him a little bit of joy, maybe. But um, I actually am going to pick Pittsburgh, and that might be against my better judgment. But I kind of I want to say what I wrote about Pittsburgh, so um, I'm going to play it that way.
Uh, Okay.
I'll start with the real stats, shall I?
Go for it.
The oh no, now I can't find. Oh, Houston is for they're on a 9 game winning streak, but they're still 30th in pass blocking win rate. They're still 32nd in run blocking win rate. They are still struggling from an offensive standpoint, from an offensive line standpoint, and I don't know that they're clicking as well as it could be. Okay, I know we have things we'll probably hear about their defense that make a lot of sense, but um, their defense is insane. Their pass rush is insane, but they don't. On offense, they don't block well enough, and I think the Steelers can get after them. And if they get some short fields, I think that we're going to be in pretty good shape as the Steelers. I also Stroud is only a 49 passing grade against pressure. He's got 5 TDs and 5 picks. So if the Steelers can get
Well,
after Stroud, this is going to be a chance for them to make a play. But my favorite part of this whole Steelers argument, I know I'm totally cheating. I'm pulling a bunch of random stats. Our last power rankings, I made fun of Simon because their leading receiver is Kenneth Gainwell, and he's also second in the on the team in targets. But this is the ideal matchup for Kenneth Gainwell. They're going up against such an elite pass rush. They have a chance. Rodgers doesn't want to hold the ball against the Houston defense. So they're going to be getting the ball out to the flat to Kenneth Gainwell. He's going to be getting just enough yards. And right when Houston thinks they have it figured out, there's going to be a misdirection handoff to Jalen Warren. Arthur Smith's going to sneak in a little Jonnu Smith handoff from like the 9 yard line after one of those Stroud turnovers. And then Houston's going to have no option but to really load the box to try to stop these little passes to Kenny Gainwell. And that's when, fresh off suspension, fresh legs, DK Metcalf is going to hit them over the top for a 59-yard touchdown late in the third quarter. That's going to
59.
put the Steelers up. And then Stroud's going to have to be heroic, and it's going to be dicey, and it's going to be anyone's game at that point. So I think the Texans offense is going to falter too much. We've seen them in years past really have trouble with discipline and penalties in the playoffs. And so I think Rodgers will be just savvy enough. They'll get just as much enough first downs as they need to move the ball. And if they get a short field a couple times and one big DK Metcalf play, I think this is a Steelers upset, contrary to what everyone believes.
If you're watching on YouTube, you might have had a phone moment just now when Josh dropped the 59-yard bomb to DK Metcalf, and Ben and I both said 59 at the same time, but you can only hear Ben's voice. I just kind of mouthed it, so you're gonna hear Ben talk for both he and I, which essentially almost happens anyways on these podcasts, but now it literally happened. All right.
That was my oddly
Team M,
specific Josh logic for the show. I didn't get it
you
until
know, we needed it. Team MVP Kenny Gainwell, by the way, which is always great when you're a $3 million backup running back gets that. But anyways, I'm okay. So here's my stat for Houston. Here's what we got. Pittsburgh is sixth in the NFL this season in passes that go shorter than 10 air yards, and they are sixth in EPA in the NFL on those passes. So it's what they want to do. It's what they do more than almost any team in the league, and they're really good at it. They're really efficient at it. Meanwhile, Houston is first in the NFL by a wide margin in EPA allowed on those plays. So the exact thing that Josh is talking about, those swing passes, those screens, those little pitches to Gainwell, Warren, Jonnu occasionally. Adam Thielen might get a couple. MVS gets these screen passes now. The Houston defense is just mean, man. They are 12-year-olds playing at the park against 6-year-olds, and they are not taking it easy on them. Pittsburgh is going to throw those little passes. Rodgers is going to do his little choo, 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 like side to side shoulder thing and like toss a little ball in there. And then Aziz Al-Shaair and Jalen Peter are just going to come down and just blow up whoever dares put their hand on the ball when that pass comes and get them. Um, they're not capable. The Steelers aren't capable of regularly attacking downfield, and Houston is going to take that weakness and just exploit it over and over again. We're going to see these short passes just go for nothing over and over again in this game against Houston. Man, that was hard to say out loud. That was a bummer. I've conceptually said things about the Steelers all season, but actually saying how they're going to lose the game, that hurt. That did
that
twist the
hurts.
knife a little bit. Thanks, Josh.
We'll just adopt my argument. It'll be fine. They'll win.
Ben, what do you got?
Y'all want the pick first or the explanation first?
Explanation first, man.
Yeah.
Let's draw
Let's
this
do
thing
it.
out.
So-
We're only a minute 49. We've got like 45 minutes of show we got to fill in here somehow.
All right, here we go. So I was already leaning Texans in this game. I don't think anybody's surprised by that. So I was looking for reasons why the Steelers might would win this thing. I do think Josh, I thought you made a couple of great points here. The Houston offense, it's a problem, right? I know they're working on it, they're figuring things out, they're making it happen, but boy, that's going to be what gets them beat in this playoffs at some point. You know, that's what's going to get them killed, and that's what they're going to have to work on during the off season. So I thought that was a great point. Stroud versus Blitz. I didn't realize that statistic, so that was a really great
Yeah, that was
statistic
a
there. I,
really
I
good
thought
one.
that was great. Yeah, and I'm a Stroud guy, but still, we haven't seen him explode, and maybe there's reasons for that. But in the meantime, we've got actual numbers that say this is a problem. So I thought that was really good. Now, unfortunately, where you lost me was when you started talking about the Steelers' short passing game, and I was like, oh yeah, uh, how are they going to score in this game?
There's no proof of concept, but they're just going to do it differently, and Houston won't be ready. It's hard to explain, you guys. I just
There,
know it's
there were
hard
those
to
two games
explain.
this season that Aaron Rodgers to DK Metcalf downfield was working, and they're just gonna Josh is just holding on to that.
That's right.
And I was like, oh yeah, Kenneth Gainwell. Oh yeah, all that short passing stuff. So that third stat is probably what sealed the deal, honestly, here. Now I will say, strolling back through the Steelers' last 5 or 6 weeks, the offensive production is up in terms of points, you know. And I realized some of those times they weren't playing stalwart defenses. They sure as heck weren't playing the Houston Texans defense, right? But if you're looking for some hope here for Pittsburgh, that offensive production's trending upward versus say earlier in the season. That is something. But then uh, Simon's talking about again just how good this Houston defense is. Houston isn't going to have to score a lot of points to win this game, I don't feel like. Honestly, it feels like the Steelers are going to struggle to get to about 13, 16 points. It feels like Houston can probably at some point somehow pick up 20, 24 points, and that's kind of where I'm going to be at. And that's where I was heading into the matchup and even coming out of it. So the Texans still for me here.
All right, that is going
That's
to give me the lead. That's going to give me the win. What was that, Josh?
congrats. No, I didn't even look for a
Congrats.
defensive stat on the Texans because I was like, they're insane right now. They're so good in so many different categories. And to give one little flower to their offense, I saw a stat the other or actually earlier today that Nico Collins is the only receiver with 20 plus receptions, 2 plus touchdowns, and 90 plus yards per game in the past two postseasons, I guess. So like going into his third postseason, for some reason he's been look pretty productive in the postseason. So that would have been my nod to the Houston offense. Like, yeah, they struggle, but Stroud's a gamer, and he'll find Nico enough times to move the ball. So
Yeah.
All
that's
right, here's
fair.
why Pittsburgh's actually going to win now that I've gotten the point and won the game. So Houston is 4-5 this year in games where CJ Stroud has been gets sacked multiple times. And while his sacks are down significantly from years past, I don't think that's talked about enough because I think people are
Yeah.
kind of on the like giving up on Stroud thing.
Well, and I
He's
thought,
down to like 20 some sacks this season after 50 some and 40 some his first 2 years. Go ahead,
and that
Josh.
was going to be my low hanging fruit initially for my Houston. I was just like, all right, time to go see how many times Stroud's been sacked this year, and it's not as bad as it was. They're not.
Like
They're much
it's like
better shape.
half from his average from his first 2 seasons. But there have been 9 games this year. He was sacked multiple times, and the Texans are 4-5 in those games. Meanwhile, Pittsburgh is sixth in the league in total sacks, and they are particularly dominant at home. So they are third in total sacks when they play in their home stadium this season. Considering how dominant their front looked last week against Baltimore, especially, that group definitely has momentum. So this could be a like Steelers defensive line just completely wrecks the game, and that's kind of
Yeah.
what Josh was talking about. So I'll just hang my hat on that. I need to end by saying something positive about the Steelers. Um, all right, but Josh, thank you, man. That was fun.
That
Ben,
was fun.
thank you. Excellent judge, excellent coin flipper. We appreciate it.
I have some stats of my own. Okay. So,
Ooh, yeah, hit us up.
all right, a little bit of summary for the night. Obviously, the score was 4-2 with Simon carrying the day here. Josh won the first two. Simon picked up the last four.
Yikes.
Coin
Yikes.
toss wins. Josh
Ooh.
won the coin toss 4 times. Simon only won it twice. Here's the best stat. Josh won the coin toss on Bills Jaguars. I was probably going to pick Buffalo anyway. He decided to defend the Jaguars. That alone could have turned it into a
That
tie.
was the turning point, man.
Oh,
But Josh also won the coin toss on the Texans Steelers matchup. I was already leaning Texans. He elected to defend the Steelers. So
yeah,
he won the
Feel like
coin toss
content getting
four
in the way.
times.
yeah.
If he had picked to defend the other two teams, he probably would have won the matchup. So that's my stats for the night.
You let the content win the day, Josh, but you know what? We all appreciate it,
I
especially me.
yeah. I couldn't resist. I'm looking at I'm looking at my screen right now, you guys, and I have like two lines about the Texans because then I was like, how much fun could I have talking about the
You
Steelers?
just willed it into existence that you
I
wanted to
did.
talk about the Texans. That's incredible. Um, all right, because we have extra time here. You both were probably thinking, "Ooh, get out of Simon Friends podcast early. This is great. I'll go to bed. I'll have a little snacky snack." No, not tonight. Here's what I'm coaching cares. No, I'm just kidding, Ben. We're not doing all that. I just want to run through the playoffs
Yeah.
and give an official prediction on each thing here. So we'll go through all the rounds. We'll make a Super Bowl prediction, that sort of thing. Um, and then you guys can go off on your own shows and social medias and make your real predictions once you've actually thought about it. But I will spring this on you, and for the purposes of this show, we will hold this true. So we've got let's see what order let's go into time order again. So Panthers Rams. We all going Rams for that one.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now tell me, Apple, why can I not do Command S for strike through on notes? I want somebody to work on that. Apple, hey, Apple, get going.
Does
Um,
Apple talk to you these days? I'm behind on this.
Ben, lots of things talk to me in these days, man. There's a lot going on in here.
Voices in my
Uh,
head.
let's not get into that. Be here all night. Saturday, I do 17 more Yeah, I'm getting weird. Um, Bears Packers Saturday night. Uh, I know I defended the Packers, but I'm leaning Bears here. Are we all leaning Bears here?
Leaning Bears, yes.
I'm gonna go if I yes, I'm gonna go Bears.
Okay.
Okay. Sunday. What was that first game Sunday? Was that the Bills Jags game?
Yes.
Yes.
Um, this one is the real toss up. So
It's so
Ben,
hard.
you lean Bills with the pick there. Josh, where would you actually lean
Yeah.
here?
I want like it's so weird because Josh Allen is not a villain to me, but because Trevor Lawrence was getting more and more maligned and then he had this year, I really want the Jags to win. Like imagine we talked about it, like imagine the Jaguars moving on and winning in the year where Josh Allen won't have to face Mahomes or
Yeah.
Lamar. Like that would be so wild, but I'm picking the Bills. It's got to be the
All right.
Bills.
Yeah, it's got
Can't
to.
pick against Josh Allen.
I echo that sentiment 100%. So we're gonna give it to Josh here. We're gonna go Bills. Um, let's see what's next. What's next? Sunday afternoon is that Eagles? Yep, Eagles Niners. Which way are we going with that, Ben?
I
You went Niners.
yeah, I did, but you give me the day and I'll probably flip flop to the other team back and forth till game time. So, but yeah, let's go with 49ers since I did earlier.
Josh, what's your pick there?
I actually am going 49ers too. I know my whole thing was about Jalen Carter, but I don't know. The Niners offense looks scary, and I know last week they didn't
Right.
play well, so it's weird. But I don't know. I feel like they can score as many as they need to.
All right, Sunday night we got Patriots Chargers. We're all going Patriots there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You don't want to. You
I
want to
don't
go
want. I'm
Chargers.
gonna go. Can I go Chargers, or are we doing
You
a
can do
Yeah.
whatever
consensus?
you want. You can do
Okay,
whatever you want.
I'm gonna go Chargers. I'm gonna go Chargers. I'm
Heck
gonna
yeah,
pick my
baby.
guy Herbert. The Patriots haven't beaten anybody. They couldn't even beat the Steelers for a winning
Way to
record
way to
W.
bring that one back around.
Way to
Um,
slam both entities at once, man.
I
Well
think
done.
when they're announcing the starters, when they're running out through the tunnel, John Harbaugh is going to come out last for the Chargers, and he's going to have a headset on, and there's going to be like a crazy special teams play
Yes.
that they win the game on. Who's that? Who's that returner? Demario Davis that they drafted in the fourth round like 3 years ago, and they're like he's going to be an elite kick returner at a
Oh yeah.
TCU, right? And then maybe he'll turn something off, and he's just like I don't even know if he's on the team. He's going to get a touchdown, whatever it is. There's my Josh prediction for you guys.
There you go.
Um,
See,
for the
that's fun.
purposes of what I'm doing, though, I'm going majority, and I'm crossing off the Chargers. But let it be known, Josh is predicting the
I
Chargers.
did.
I kind of want to predict the Jags too, but man, that's gonna be a good one.
Yeah.
All right, and then finally we've got Steelers Texans. We're all actually picking the Texans here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I almost instinctively crossed off the Texans anyways. All right, so let's reseed this, right? Because the NFL we reseed things here. Let's stay in the AFC. So Broncos versus Bills. Who do we take here? Broncos, Bills.
Yeah, for
Bills.
me, it's really tough, but I'll lean Bills here since I'm kind
I
of
would
riding that wave.
heck yeah,
Yeah.
baby. I would lean Bills as well. You guys know that. Um, Patriots, Texans in a Patriots Texans game. A top two offense versus a top two defense this season. Josh, which way do you think you would lean?
Man, I think I would have to lean Patriots here. I mean, the Texans defense is so good, but yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna lean Patriots, but that's a tough one. That is a tough one.
Ben, Ben, what do you got?
Yeah, I got the Patriots all the way because they would be at home, right?
Yeah.
And plus they've got the rolling offense.
Yeah,
I'll take that.
yeah, I think that'd be the way I would go as well. Let's go ahead and finish out the AFC. Patriots Bills 3, man. Patriots Bills 3. They're 1-1 this season, right? It's an even matchup so far over the course of the regular season, I believe. Patriots got the early one, Bills get that late one, 38-31, I think, later in the season. In an AFC title game, Patriots Bills. Ben, where do you think you lean?
I'll still pick the Patriots. That stat about only one winning team that they beat is fascinating. Having said that, they've looked so good all year. They would be at home. I'm a believer in what the Patriots are capable of doing here. My buyer's remorse on Jacksonville. It wouldn't surprise me for Jacksonville to show up here too,
Yeah.
but I'm going to pick the Patriots in this matchup.
Josh, Bills,
I'm gonna
Patriots.
I'm gonna go Bills. I'm gonna believe in Josh Allen, I think, but yeah, I under like the Patriots look really, really solid. It's hard to pick against them.
Um,
It's funny because I'm looking at the AFC slate here, and Denver's almost the easiest team for me to pick against, and I don't know.
I
I
know.
know they're very
I
good,
know I
but
hate it.
You really tried to make the case for them last week in the power ranks, and I was just like, yeah, it's not gonna happen. I would lean Bills against the Patriots as well because we always go through, and I've said this before, man. We talked about this back in the stat sheet days, especially before Allen really fully got there. And Allen and the Bills just every year have a weird stretch of games where we're not sure we believe in what's going on, and it feels like
Yeah,
this year it happened in the last like 4 weeks of the season. It was like right after the Patriots game.
yeah,
And I think that's the game he didn't he get hurt his foot in that game or early in the Browns game, so then the end of the year was a little shaky. I think if we're here with the Bills and they have the momentum of beating the Jaguars who are red hot and then the Broncos who are the one seed, by the time they
yeah.
get to the title game, I would pick them over anybody once we get to
Good
that
point.
point. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna I'm gonna lean Bills here, so coming out of the AFC. And then let's finish out the NFC playoffs. So we'd have Seahawks 49ers. We'd have a Seahawks 49ers rematch in this after the first round here. Josh, which way would you lean Seahawks 49ers?
I don't have good logic behind it, but I'm leaning 49ers. You guys, you have not seen Sam Darnold in the playoffs. We didn't get the bye last year. He has not been, their offense numbers wise looks really good still, but they don't run it efficiently. And I just, he needs to prove it to me. And he gets a bye this year to get to the next round already. So I wouldn't be, I'll say this, I wouldn't be surprised if Seattle won. I'm not
The
gonna,
wild card round is his real hiccup, but he
oh yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe
got
that's
the
it.
answers to the test ahead of time. He didn't do it.
That's
Well,
right. But I'm still gonna go Niners. I'm still gonna go Niners.
All right, Ben, your pick. Seahawks 49ers. Where would you go?
it took me 3/4 of the season to get here on Seattle, and I still don't trust Sam Darnold when it comes down to huge matchups. But Seattle just looks so finely tuned, like they know every single little twitch they want to do and they do it. I have been so impressed with the smoothness of the machine, so I've got them in this matchup, Seattle.
I'd go Seattle as well. That week 18 performance really nailed it for me. All right, and then we'd have Bears Rams. Bears Rams here. Josh, which way would you go?
Rams.
Ben.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in the what the Bears are doing and will do, but I'll take the Rams in this one because the Rams will be at home, right? It would be over there on the West Coast. I think that's
Would
right.
it? They'd be
No,
the
I think
five. They'd be
the
the five
Bears will
seed.
be.
Yeah, be in Chicago.
Yeah, that's right. Because they didn't win the division. That's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm behind the times there. I tell you what, they're in Chicago. It would worry me. That might be a game changer. That might be a coin toss. I'll still pick the Rams. That that's a tough one though.
That is, yeah, that's a tough one. But if they didn't have that Eagles performance last year, remember they played well against the
Right.
Eagles in the snow.
They did.
Was that the championship game or the division,
Yes.
whichever round that
I think
was?
No.
it was divisional,
One,
right?
yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Rams here as well. Rams Seahawks. We would get a rematch of the best game of the season, maybe
Hmm.
38,
Yeah.
37, whatever that game was in overtime.
And that was
Matthew
a
Stafford
that was a
500
Thursday night
yards.
game too, right?
Yeah, it was definitely prime time. Yeah,
Definitely
100%. The
best
two
Thursday night game in years,
Oh my God,
probably.
forever. Uh, Al Michaels was falling asleep. He was not prepared. Um, Kirk Herbstreit was probably talking about Sam Darnold at USC still. Uh, Rams Seahawks in this matchup. Were they 1-1 on the year too? They had to be, right? Because Seahawks won that game.
Good
My
question.
gosh, the NFC West, man, it finally delivered, and the Cardinals were nowhere to be found. Hilarious.
I
Uh,
remember talking at the beginning of the first or beginning of the power ranking, Simon,
mm,
like this division being good, like everyone's gonna beat each other up. But I was thinking they'd all be like 10-7, like 9-8,
right.
like that sort of beating each other up. Not all of them should be division winners. Like that's crazy.
And then the Cardinals. All right, Ben, Seahawks Rams. Who would you go in an NFC title game?
I'm gonna give you my emotion first. I'm not against Seattle, but for a myriad of reasons, I would really prefer that the Rams win this game and Seattle lose it. I mean, for all kinds of reasons. But I'm just impressed with the machine right now that Seattle appears to be. I mean, my gosh, it's like everything is running so smooth, and it really was back in late September, to be honest, and it only seems to have continued as they play good teams. So, I mean, here they are. They've come out on the top of a tough division. They're at the top of the NFC. I just don't see a reason not to pick them, so I'm going to pick Seattle here.
Oh, all right, Josh, what are you gonna do?
I gotta stick with my Rams pick. It's gonna be another tough game, but I'm not gonna call like a game-winning no-look touchdown pass from Stafford or anything ridiculous. That's a little bit too specific. It's more so than a 59-yard touchdown. So I'm just gonna go with the Rams here and say they'll win a close one.
Oh, dude, I love Stafford and the Rams, man, but I'm kind of with Ben. Like the Seahawks are kind of just playing their best ball right now,
Mm.
and the Rams, if you look at their last 5 weeks, their only convincing wins have been against the Cardinals in the last few weeks
Mhm.
because they lost to the Seahawks in a great game. Like that shouldn't be counted like anecdotally as like, ooh, they lost that game. Like they were awesome that game.
Right.
But they lost to the Falcons. They lost to the Panthers. It was a one-score game against the Lions, who, had the season they had. Oh man, but Sam
It's
Darnold when
tight.
when the chips are down, Sam Darnold when the chips are down. No, I gotta stick with the Rams. I gotta stick with the Rams. I'm with Josh.
Ooh, wow.
We believed in them all season. But it is noted that Ben would pick the Seahawks in that case.
That
Um,
Darnold Stafford thing, though, man, if you were to boil the whole game down to that, how could you
Yeah.
not pick the Rams? But
yeah.
Right. Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
I just think about the way Seattle is one of the top defenses in the NFL, and I really think the Puka to Stafford connection is just the right amount of finesse, but also power and tenacity to deal with that, right? Like I think Puka could fight through those DBs. I think he could find the open spots in a really good defensive scheme, and I think he could come down with the tough catches against that group. Um, and that's what it'd come down to for me. And Darnold versus that defensive line would make me a little nervous in some of the most key areas. Um, so I would go Rams there. All right. So by a majority, well, me and Josh were aligned in the title games, but Ben went the opposite way. So I'm gonna make Ben gets to pick two different Super Bowls here because he had different AFC and NFC picks. But I'm gonna make him pick with me and Josh too. So Josh, we have Bills and Rams,
yeah,
which is now going to really hurt because we're very emotionally invested in both these teams getting another one,
yeah.
right? Stafford potentially on the way out, but Josh Allen getting his first one. Um,
I was just
where
gonna
would you
say,
go, Bills versus Rams?
I've been Rams this whole way here, but I think somewhere in the back of my mind, it's like, well, the Bills aren't gonna probably get there, so now the Bills are there in our little hypothetical. Oh man. You know what? I'm gonna stick with the Rams. This is the my number one team in the power rankings. Why would I get them all the way to the Super Bowl and then say they're gonna lose?
Yeah.
But I'd be kind of happy if Josh Allen won too. So,
I
well,
think
it's funny,
I
and it's funny because Louis, my son's name's Louis, and he asked me like who my second favorite football team is because he's
ooh,
sick of me
mhm.
talking about the Vikings all the time, obviously. But he I told him, I was like, you know what? I've always had a soft spot for the Bills. It's not just a Josh Allen thing, but like,
Mhm.
early 90s, the Bills
Yep.
went through something the Vikings went. They got to a few, the Vikings did it in the 70s, but the Bills did it in the early 90s. Really great teams got to the Super Bowl, but they ran into the Cowboys dynasty and they lost all those, or they lost like two or three, I think. And so they were kind of like an underdog when I was really little. So I've kind of always had a soft spot for the Bills. So it's hard for me to pick against them, but I'm gonna stick to my guns here. I'm gonna go Rams.
I'm gonna go Rams as well. I would just trust McVay to pick at that scab that is the Bills' rush defense. And then also, even though I said what I said about the Bills and their passing game and Josh Allen, like the ball is in his hands, anything can happen. Not having that real go-to option in a pass game, and the playoffs, man, they're made for this sort of thing. Like maybe who's the Dalton Kincaid? Maybe Dalton Kincaid just goes on a like crazy run through the playoffs with like
Mhm.
20. He's got 20 catches and 200 yards and four touchdowns by the time we get to the Super Bowl, something crazy like that. Um, which would be magical and beautiful, and we would love it. But sitting here now, I'm like, man, the Rams could just like pick at all that stuff. I mean, they would find a way in that matchup to exploit all the weaknesses, I think. So I'm gonna go Rams. Josh and I are both going Rams. If you watch power rankings through the years, the whole year, you're just like, okay, obviously Josh and Sam, we're gonna pick the Rams. But Ben, you get to pick two different Super Bowls here, man.
Oh
You
yeah.
get to really play the odds. So Rams Bills, who would you go with? Who would you go with in Rams Bills, which is the Super Bowl that Josh and I have gotten us to?
I'd go with the Bills, honestly, by the same logic that you used for the AFC title matchup was that if they are on this kind of roll
Hmm.
where they've
Yes.
steamrolled through the AFC, it would be tight, but I would pick the Bills in that matchup. Now I will say this is the matchup most of the country would be dying to see. Bills
Oh
Rams.
yeah.
It would be the most fun. It would be the most emotionally likable people and teams and heartwarming stories. I mean, everywhere across the board. This is the matchup most of the country would want to see. It would like shine like heaven down on the planet, right? It would just be a beautiful thing to watch. And that's what I would want to see. I mean, I really would. And I was a kid listening in the early 90s, sitting on the floor of my bedroom with my 21-inch TV watching the Bills lose four Super Bowls in a row,
Yep.
and they would steamroll the AFC every year and lose to usually a more talented NFC team in those early 90s. It was hard to believe as many Hall of Famers as they had. But that's the matchup everybody would want to see. I'd pick the Bills in that matchup.
Ben going the other way again. All right, so Ben, here's where you get to pick. Here's where you get to pick your alternate Super Bowl here. You would
Yeah.
have Patriots Seahawks. Who would you pick Patriots Seahawks?
Yeah, and I kind of went with my head on that matchup to get those teams there, just like they look so well oiled.
Yes. Hmm.
Yeah, at that point though, I'll pick the quarterback I trust more, and it's Drake May by a long shot. I figure the Sam Darnold magic has to run out at some point, right? I mean, it's hard for me to put them in the Super Bowl, yet they've looked so good. Seattle, I'm talking about.
Hmm.
Yet at some point, when you're playing all these good teams, the Sam Darnold thing has to catch up to you, right? You can't keep beating all these better quarterbacks. So yeah, in that scenario, I would pick the Patriots.
Yep.
And you already we had the Patriots beating the Texans, so they've kind of already beaten that like juggernaut, one of those
Right,
juggernaut defenses. So there's
right.
nothing to say in this scenario that they wouldn't be able to go against the Seahawks defense
Right.
and do the same thing. Um, my last note on the Bills and their kind of run through the AFC versus the NFC, without having to play the Texans, they can really, I think, hide that run defensive issue, right? Because
Yeah.
the Patriots there's no elite run game here. And wait, what I said about the Texans, I was thinking about their run defense. Offensively, there's no elite run unit they have to worry about here. And even if they match up against Seattle, like they wouldn't have to really worry about it. It's a pretty good run for the Bills in terms of their
Right.
biggest weakness. I mean, if they met the Bears, that would be tough. If they met the Eagles, just in a one game scenario, having to defend Saquon, that's not great.
Yep.
The Rams, I don't know what the metrics on their run game are. I'm sure they're very good, but they
Right.
We just know schematically they can come up with things and they have the talent to do it. Um, so yeah, the Bills trying to make their way through the AFC against rush offense is not too big a deal. All right, so official predictions here. I won't run through each round, but we had the Rams and the Bills coming out. Me and Josh, and we both went Rams. Ben would have Bills in that matchup, but he had the Patriots and Seahawks coming out with the Patriots taking it. And then Ben, you said something that sparked it for me, so this will be the last thing we do. What would be oftentimes once the Steelers are out of it, I just root for like what would be the least problematic matchup for me. Like take the stress out of my life. Who's the team I'm rooting against? Get them out early and let me just watch. So what would be the matchup here that most people would hate to see most? What would be the Super Bowl matchup here? And I'll give you guys mine as you think about it. That people are watching and they, for one reason or another, like would really be diehard one way or the other. And who would those be combined? I think it'd be Patriots Eagles. Like how many people are going to roll their eyes if the Patriots are back in the Super Bowl? Me to some level, but I'm just so excited about Drake May. I'll be able to overlook it, but God, it'd be frustrating for Tom Brady to leave and this team completely go in the dumpster, and then 5 years later they're in the Super Bowl already. Um, and then the Eagles, like I think just enough people are probably done with the Eagles and over that whole thing, and you know we know plenty of NFC East fans that um, don't want to see them get another one. People don't want back to back. People want different stories. So I think Eagles and Patriots would be the worst. But for you, Josh, what's the matchup that you just don't want to see because you just would not be happy with
So
the outcome either way?
my gut my gut wasn't gonna say Packers Patriots because obviously the Packers, but more so the Patriots, like you said, like some of these teams don't understand what it's like to have to sift through quarterbacks to try to get one, right? And the
Hmm.
Patriots had a dynasty, and what they take a few years off, and like you just said, and then they get Drake May. Come on, but I also really like Drake May, and so I don't hate on this iteration of the Patriots nearly as much as I used to. So I'm gonna say Packers Broncos because I still am just I've never been a Bo Nix believer. I've never
Yeah,
really enjoyed Sean Payton. I think you know, Bounty Gate with the Saints Vikings in '09 and a bunch of other
there
stuff.
you
Like
go. Hmm.
he's just not the dude that I like to see successful. And so I wish I could say like he fell flat trying to take Bo Nix in the first round, but here they are as a one seed, so you can't say that yet. So if I have to watch Packers Broncos, I am seeing my rival team somehow sneak into the playoffs because the other thing with the Packers, more so than they're my bitter rival, if the Packers had just lost to the Cowboys instead of tied them, then the Vikings would have gotten into the playoffs. But the Packers' stupid 9-7-1 record, as opposed to our 9-8, got them into the playoffs. So I'm bitter about that a little bit because all they would have had to do is lost. And I've always thought that the tie, yes, this is the reason why the tie is beneficial, not losing. And usually it's not really a factor. So that's really, you know, what's the phrase? That's really sticking in whatever I'm trying to say. I don't know. I'm a little bitter about that. And so it's not just any team, it's the Packers. It's my arch nemesis.
Did
So
the
I don't want to
Vikings
watch
really
Packers
finish as
Broncos.
the 8 seed? That's hilarious. I didn't
What's
even
that?
realize that. The Vikings
Yeah.
were really like the last team out or whatever.
Yeah, let me see. Let me pull it up just to confirm.
I mean, they're
Yep,
listed over Detroit on Pro Football. Oh my
Yep,
gosh,
we
that's
were the 8 seed. So if Dallas wins in overtime instead of tying with the Packers, and everything else plays out the
that's
same,
great.
we're the 7 seed going to Chicago, where we can easily win.
That's great. That's incredible.
Yep.
Good
So
job by you. M- I you said the right thing about the Broncos. That was actually where I started with this, and then I was thinking about the Patriots, and yeah, it would be really bad for the takes. It would be really bad for the the content if all of a sudden Bo Nix was in the Super Bowl, and you know I would still defend all my takes and be like, team sport, wins aren't a
yeah,
quarterback stat, whatever,
but it's
asterisks, all
easier if
that stuff.
they get upset as the 1 seed.
They
Yes.
lose in the divisional round as a 1 seed. Yeah, that would make my life so much easier for next year. Um, Ben, what's the matchup that you don't want to see?
By the way, Josh, I really appreciate and support all the way the bitterness and the unabashed bitterness. I'm a big fan. Okay,
Thank
every
you.
time. Yes.
Thank you.
Uh, the y'all already hit it. I'll kind of just ramrod it again. The on the NFC side, it's the Seahawks. Okay, I mean not the Seahawks. I'm sorry, it's the Eagles. The Eagles. Everybody outside of Philadelphia has had enough of the Eagles, and some people
Yep.
inside of Philadelphia can't even stand each other. They just want to keep winning. So That's the I feel like on the AFC side with the Chiefs being out, we kind of got rid of the guy that, nobody hates the Chiefs, but we're tired of
Right.
seeing them keep showing back up, right? You go sit
Hmm.
down for a while. Let somebody else have a turn. So I feel like that was the big one. You guys did mention it though. Denver as well. The Sean Payton stuff, because not everybody's a huge Payton fan, even though I respect his abilities. And then the Bo Nix takes, right? Now, if you're going down a takes road, Broncos Seahawks, you'd have the double whammy of Sam Darnold takes going
Yeah.
up against Bo Nix takes. I mean, just shoot us all at that point, right? Please deliver us from a Denver Seattle Super Bowl, but it could happen. I mean,
Yeah.
it's pretty realistic, in an odd year like this. So I feel like those are some of the matchups that really everybody's rooting against here for sure.
Yeah, all the Bryce Young non-believers would also have a lot of defending to do. I don't think if the Panthers miraculously made it to the Super Bowl, anybody would think it was on the back of Bryce Young. But if he did just go on like a 4 game heater, I know our buddy Robertson Fire would be coming out the woodwork and shooting me a message about Anthony Richardson versus Bryce Young. Um, God, all yeah, okay. So there are but some potential for all-time bad take Super Bowl matchups, but I don't think it'll get there. So,
Yeah.
anyways, that's it. Thank you guys so much. Thank you too for sticking around with my shenanigans that here at the end of the podcast. We couldn't do a 55-minute podcast. That would be ridiculous. Um, that's saved for quick plug for the future. That's saved for the NFL Draft Over Under preview with Ben, which comes out because I'm so good at programming content. It comes out the day of the draft, so you guys have approximately like 12 hours to listen to it. Come draft time before the draft happens, but whatever. NFL playoffs begin this weekend. Happy wild card weekend, everybody. Happy wild card weekend to Josh, to Ben. Thank you both so much. We're in the new year. Thank you both for everything over the course of this season. We really appreciate it. Ben, you'll be back next week. We're going to talk about some defensive backs for the draft and start getting some people ready. Josh, we'll be back in a few weeks to do some off-season power ranking content. But we really appreciate you guys being here. We appreciate all the listeners. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you for being here. Like, subscribe, comment. Tell us what matchups you really like. If you got any cool weird stats that you want to throw out there, put them in the comments. Share them. That would be awesome to see. Um, if you are A1 Day One listening on audio, we appreciate you as always. Everyone enjoy Wildcard Weekend. Enjoy the rest of your new year, and we will talk to you all soon. So have fun and be safe out there.